Hey, guys. So this week we are going to talk about the top 5 money blocks that are limiting your ability to build wealth and abundance and success from a place that feels fun, easy, and in flow. So let's dive right in. What are the top 5 money blocks that might be limiting your abundance and success and all of the juicy, beautiful things that you want in your life? Because let's be honest, even if your biggest vision, if your biggest view of what you want in your life isn't money, isn't wealth, which usually it isn't, money is a tool that we utilize to achieve those things. Money is the hammer that we need in order to build the house that we want. Whether it is being able to have the freedom to travel, being able to hang out with our kids more, being able to buy our mom a place in an Alzheimer's facility because we love her so much, or, create a big impact on this world and be able to hire a team in our business to be able to support that desire. Money helps us achieve all of those things. So understanding our money blocks and understanding the things that hold us back from achieving those big, juicy desires will free us to make more money and give us lots of freaking hammers that we can then use to build our freaking house, right? Our freaking house. So let's dive right in. The number one money block that I see, and we actually talked about this last week, is this ultimate lack mindset thing that so many people say to themselves is, I only need this much. I only need this much. I don't need any more than my bills. I don't need to have wealth. I don't need to have a big business. I don't need to be, to go speak on stages, even though a part of you desires to have more money, even though a part of you desires to speak on stages, even though a part of you desires to have more than enough, desires to have all of the stuff. So this can be motivated by a number of things. And if you want to dig deeper into this, I definitely suggest you go check out that other video. That you need to basically understand that this can come because you are actually a very, very kind, good-hearted, sensitive, conscious person. A lot of times, kind, good-hearted, sensitive, conscious people believe that by limiting and shrinking their own vision and their own desires, they are trying to take care of other people to make sure that there's enough left for other people. But this comes from a lack mindset that says that there's not enough for everybody to win. When I win, other people have to lose. I have to feel guilty about making more money. And I have to basically shrink my dreams to fit so that I don't make other people uncomfortable, so that I don't make other people lose out, so that I don't potentially even have the wrath of others fall down upon me because they would think I'm too uppity if I get too much, if I have too much, if I have a whole bunch of what I want and what I desire. And so this I only need this much can also be a way we bargain with the universe because we don't actually believe that we can have it all. It can also be due to the cultural conditioning and the stories we've seen in our family that tell us that, people only achieve this much. People have only ever done this much. Nobody in our family has ever been super successful. So how could I be? All of these kinds of blocks and beliefs that underlie this. Because here's a little secret about blocks. When we have a block, there's usually a layer or 2 or 3 beneath that block that we've identified that's actually motivating that block. So what I mean by that is that if we have a block that is, I only need this much, that might be motivated by a block underneath it that says, I have to feel guilty if I have more than enough. And then that one might be motivated by when I have more than enough, other people feel bad. And then that one might be motivated by the block that says, if I make people feel bad, I'm a bad person. What? Oh my gosh. And so when we suddenly look at that on layering and how they basically branch out those limiting beliefs, we see that even sometimes when we identify that top layer, that top tier belief, we're not actually going down to the root because we're not understanding where those tiers actually lead to. So anyway, that was a bit of a side and a bit bigger than I planned to talk about today, but still so freaking important. So the second top 5 money block that I see happening for people is limited thinking, limiting your vision, really shrinking your vision to fit what you think you can have and what you think is possible. This is going to show up in things like low expectations. I don't expect more. It's going to show up in things like what we just talked about. I only need this much. It's going to show up in things like settling for less. It's also going to show up in things like lack of belief. And it's going to show up in things like actually not being able to make quantum leaps because you're not willing to take these epic quantum risks that are involved with taking quantum leaps. So let me tell you a little story that you've probably heard before that's involved with this. You know, oh shit, what are their names? Freaking went out of my brain just now. The Wright brothers, the dudes who flew the plane, right? So the Wright brothers, they were going to make people fly in the air. Guess what had never, ever happened before in the history of mankind? People flying in the air. That was impossible. That is not possible. Apparently, the story goes, their father was like a preacher and told them this was not God's will or we would have freaking wings. And so it was not just not possible. It was against God's will. And the Wright brothers went, we're going to go out to this beach and do it anyway, because we're just that kind of crazy. We're just that kind of risk takers, right? We're just that expansive in our thinking that we are willing to go out there and take quantum risks, quantum like crazy things that other people look at us and go, are you mentally ill because nobody can fly? That's crazy. And we're going to go do it anyway. So when we limit our thinking, we're actually limiting the revolution that lies in our soul, the revolution that can come from us, the revolution that is inspired by us having unlimited thinking. So when you shrink and when you settle and when you say, I only need this much, or when you say, well, I mean, this is all I've ever seen accomplished, you're not only shrinking the opportunities for you to have more, you're shrinking the opportunities for the world to have your genius too. Now, number 3, what's the number 3 one? The number 3 one is one you're not going to want to hear. Sorry. Sorry, what is it? Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Not taking responsibility. Not taking responsibility. Let's say I'll take a deep breath on this one. What I mean by not taking responsibility is multifactored. Not taking responsibility can show up as wishing on a star, sitting on the couch, hoping things will happen, thinking things will happen, making intentions, and then never, ever taking any action. Never, ever doing anything different. Never, ever making a frickin' decision that this is going to be my reality. What does that mean? Well, you can sit on the couch all frickin' day and say, I wish I had a sandwich, and you're not going to have a sandwich. You can sit on the couch all frickin' day and go, I am so excited to have a sandwich. I am feeling that sandwich. You're not going to have a sandwich. You know what you need to do to have that sandwich? You need to make the decision, I'm going to have a sandwich. I intend to have a sandwich. I am excited to have a sandwich. Sure, yeah. That's what's going to motivate me to now stand up off the couch and go make myself a sandwich or call Uber Eats and get that sandwich delivered to my door. And then you have a sandwich. That's number 1, is not taking action. However, number 2, in terms of not taking responsibility, is so many folks want to blame everybody else and blame everything else and blame their situation and blame their circumstances and blame their parents and blame all the stories and all the conditioning and all this stuff. And I need to heal and I need to wait and I need to make excuses and every other reason in the world except looking inward and saying, actually, it all lies on the inside. It all comes from inside. Everything comes, if I don't have what I want, then something's going on inside of me. And I just need to release that. And then I can have what it is that I truly want. That kind of responsibility is terrifying, but the ultimate empowerment. Because what it means is, yeah, it means you're responsible for changing things, but it also means you get to change things and you don't have to wait for jack all. You can do it now. You can start now. And yeah, it means you can have it now. You know, a lot of people who've come from difficult circumstances, if you don't know, I work with a lot of folks who've had trauma in the past, who've had a lot of challenging circumstances, who've had a lot of chronic stress, gone through burnout, all this stuff, is they say, yeah, but Dr. Ash, I went through this. Yeah, but Dr. Ash, I experienced this. It's different. Well, here's the thing. One of my favorite psychologists, Viktor Frankl, said the quote, I'm paraphrasing, basically, the last of man's freedoms is to choose his attitude in any given situation. This guy was in a Nazi concentration camp. You can't think of basically anything worse or anything harder that ever happened to a person, right? And yet he said, my freedom lies in my ability to choose my attitude, to choose my perspective, to choose the way I view things, to choose my own mindset. He was truly empowered, and you can be that empowered too when you take your responsibility. So number four on the top 5 money blocks that are happening for folks is negative self-talk. Now, you might be like, how is that a money block? That just sounds like a habit. That just sounds like something that's going on in my head. Well, the money block shows up in what the negative self-talk is saying. So the negative self-talk is things like, I'm a failure. The negative self-talk is things like, I don't know what I'm doing. The negative self-talk is things like, I don't have a mind for business. I don't have a brain for business. I don't have a brain for numbers. I can't deal with it when other people are unhappy with me. And it goes off like a nasty little recording in the back of your head that just keeps pulling you under, that just keeps reminding you, not really reminding you if you can't see the air quotes, reminding you that this thing that you want isn't for you, so you better hold yourself back or it's going to be too stressful or you're going to have to sacrifice. Everybody has a little inner asshole in their head that's whispering things to them. The choice is yours of whether or not you listen to it. The choice is yours in what volume that voice has. The choice is yours in whether you basically go mute on the remote control of your brain and you stop listening. Now, I am not a proponent of we stop listening to our emotions. I believe we need to listen and give voice to our emotions and get into conversations with the things that are occurring within our body and what we're feeling. And sometimes some of these things that, these little voices are saying as well. But just because you listen for a second and you say, okay, is there any reality in this? What is it that you're trying to say to me? Okay, now I've heard you. Now you can go sit down. Take a seat. We're done. It doesn't mean you cut yourself off from that part of yourself. It means you don't allow it to just be this noise that is constantly nagging at you and pulling you down and making you feel like you're drowning. So when you can turn down the volume on that negative self-talk, when you can turn down the volume on those little things that keep coming up, those little niggly phrases that are just like whispering in your ear, you can't trust yourself. Oh, this is too big for you. Oh, you won't be able to handle it. Any of those things, the more empowered you are to achieve what it is that you want, the more wealth, the more abundance, the more success, all of that. Number 5. What is number 5? Number 5 is another one people don't really like to talk about as well. It's the I'm not worthy. It's worthiness. It's feeling as though you deserve your place at the table. You deserve wealth. You deserve abundance. That you don't have to be a different person. You don't have to be better. You don't have to fix yourself or heal. That you're just freaking worthy now. In our culture, in our society, we are taught that our worthiness is earned. Yet no one, not a single one of us would look at a baby, would look at a child and say, you're not worthy because you haven't earned it yet. And yet somehow we put that on ourselves as we get older. And it's a bunch of bull. So this idea, if we question our worthiness and if we're worthy for wealth and abundance and success and all of these things, that's coming from the inside. That's a block to creating more wealth, to creating more abundance. Because, darling, you were born worthy. Now, I'd love to hear from you which one of these top 5 money mindset blocks are the big ones for you. and how you feel about discovering it. Because this is always the first and most important step, is to understand what is it that is actually going on here. Because once you become aware of it, you pull it out of the subconscious, you bring it into the conscious, and then you can do something about it. All right. I'll see you again soon.